everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Indexer Office Hours. Today is the 10th of September, and this is Indexer Office Hours 174. If anyone is new to Indexer Office Hours, this is the town square where graph ecosystem participants come together to discuss the most important topics for indexers. This is a conversation, and we love participation, the famous line. And so if you'd like to get involved in today's conversation, please do via voice or chat. If you're having any issues with your voice, let me know and I will try and get that sorted for you. As a reminder, this is going to be recorded and posted onto public channels like YouTube. So if you are concerned about privacy, please bear that in mind. And with that, let's get into today's exciting agenda. As always, we start off with a shout out for the latest 𝗨𝗂𝗧𝗨𝗂𝗧 episode, and we have 185 with Jose. Jose is the founder and CEO of Virtual Labs, which is a platform that is focused on decentralizing data and improving user experience in Web3. Jose talks a bit about his background, how he dropped out of Yale to pursue an entrepreneurial career, and eventually the things that led him to get into the Web3 space. And so if you're interested to learn a bit about what Virtual Labs is doing, his backstory, and how they're trying to improve the UX and aspect of Web3, go ahead and check out the episode that is linked in the chat there. Alrighty, that is it for opening remarks. So without further ado, I will hand over to Anna for our regularly scheduled Repo Watch section.
Thank you, Abel. Hello, everyone. Okay, so Repo Watch, starting with execution layer client. We have had a new release of 𝗨𝗂𝗧𝗶𝗀𝗀. This is version 20.60.7. So this release has some breaking changes, mainly to do with the release process. So they removed the V prefix from all Docker tags and release artifacts. So you'll have to update your tags. The Docker images now contain an image revision label that reflects the commit ID used for building. So please make sure you do that. We have a new Canary version for Launchpad charts, and that has already been updated to contain a tag that does not have the V prefix. Then moving on, we have a new Firehose Ethereum release. This is version 2.7.2. This release introduces a new shorter form of the CLI flag advertised block ID encoding, but it also supports the older, longer form, so check that out. But some things that are important here is that the Substreams version 1.10.2 has some bug fixes, such as correcting issues with handling modules that have multiple inputs and fixing stalling with stores. And it's really important here, because of the bug fix for Substreams, that any previously produced Substreams cache is potentially corrupted and should be replaced. And Matthew is telling us that they'll be rolling out the Firehose update later today, and also reprocessing the Substreams cache later. Okay, then we have a new Avalanche release. So this is 1.11.1, which is backwards compatible with the previous version, but introduces a plugin update that requires all plugins to update for compatibility. Some other key API changes here include some new methods. So upgrades and so info upgrades, platform get fee config, and platform get fee state. And this version also includes deprecation of subnet uptime and validator metrics. So breaking changes: update your plugins to version 37 and remove deprecated APIs related to the subnet uptime. And then that's it for the execution layer client. We don't have anything this week for consensus layer, and we don't have anything for the graph stack. So super quick one. Over to you, Juan.
Thanks, Anna. Okay, getting into 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀, we have not a lot to cover, but I'll try to be brief. For forum research, we have the core dev updates. That includes 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗳𝗂𝗃, Semiotic, GraphOps, Geo, Streaming Fast, and Messari. Again, those are pretty lengthy, so we are not going to be covering them in depth in this section. But if you're interested in any of those teams, news, there's the links are in the agenda, and there's a lot of content there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. For the contracts repository, we have a gazillion PRs. Most of them are PRs that are merged into the Horizon branch. So that means a bunch of the audit fixes have been merged into the Horizon main branch, and there's a lot of development going on there. So if you're interested in any of those PRs, again, all of those are linked in the agenda. For the network subgroups, we don't have any new updates yet. So yeah, that's pretty much it for 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀. I don't see Paca here, so I'm going to be handing over to Abel now.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, well, yeah, appreciate you guys doing your respective sections there. Now we are going to move on to the open discussion section. And for that, we have Alexis, who is here with us today from Semiotic, who's going to tell us a couple of things about TAP. So without further ado, feel free to take the mic.
You're on mute.
Yeah,
Or
you
we can't hear
should.
you.
Yeah, he's come off mute. You should have the ability to speak without push to talk. So maybe try messing around with the settings. Or maybe try killing the Discord app and coming back in again. Maybe that might help.
Can devs do something?
Can devs do something? Yes, we're trying our best. Yes, you also have the presenter role, so it should work. And you also have presented before.
Hello, IT. Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Hello, your computer has virus.
Yes, indeed. That's strange should work. You are verified and you have the presenter role. Do you want to share some updates in chat about F? Maybe try killing Discord and coming back in again. Maybe that might help. The infamous turning it off and on again. I can see my audio activity is going green, so weird. Do you have the right microphone selected, perhaps? And you're on voice to voice activity? No green highlight on my side. Yeah, me neither. I can't see it as well. Yeah, we can see that muting and deafening that you're doing. Okay, he's killed the app and come back shortly. Hopefully that gets sorted shortly, and then we can go on to that. Otherwise, we have another backup topic that we can go into. I love the sound effects. It's hilarious, especially when stuff is well timed. It's really funny. Okay. Hmm. Any luck, Alexi? Oh gosh, that'd be very expensive. Um, okay, keep maybe feel free to keep trying, Alexi. Oh, he's typing. Okay. Activity goes up on my side. Um, okay. No idea what's going on. Okay. Well, what I would recommend we do is keep trying to see if anything will fix it. And in the meantime, we'll go to the next topic. And then hopefully once we're done that, then um your audio is coming back into play and is working. Does that sound good? Yeah. Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, cool. So best of luck. We'll try and get that sorted for you, but in the meantime, we'll move on to the next topic, which is all about Kubernetes. So, as many of you are aware, for the past couple of weeks, we have been on a Postgres kind of themed. We've had multiple Postgres themed conversations, and they seem to have been received really well. And Matthew was suggesting that it would be really interesting to talk about other aspects of the stack, namely Kubernetes, which is also another topic that I know many people are very keen to hear a lot more on. And so, similar to the Postgres themed sessions, we want to do a set of Kubernetes themed sessions. And so, Matthew made the fantastic suggestion of collating a bunch of questions that you guys perhaps maybe have around Kubernetes, such that we can answer them over a series of sessions. So, what I've done for us is I've put together a whiteboard where we can write down various questions. And Matthew, feel free to hop in here and lead the conversation on collating questions and maybe even adding some additional context on what you guys are looking to do. I know that discussing your stack is something on the list as well. So yeah, feel free to take it away, Matthew.
Yeah, so at Pinax, we're in the midst of converting stuff from LXC containers to Kubernetes. This is I don't know what you call it, a long journey, very long journey, really, really, really long journey, in terms of learning the Kubernetes stack, what are the various different options, which pieces do you need, what storage components do you need, what the heck is an ingress controller, starting from the basics, and trying to learn what it means to run stuff. So we started from like zero knowledge, and we've gotten we're at the point where we can run some stuff in Kubernetes now. And thanks a lot to the GraphOps team with all their great work on Launchpad. That has helped. So the question I have is, given all of our journey, which parts of this, where do people want to learn, right? Do we want to start from the very basics? Do we want to focus on a specific area? What kind of things do people want to know about? Yeah, so then we can try to put together some material. And, Jim, I was kind of picking up on your comment from a few weeks ago that, hey, there's a few of us in this boat where, we're coming from a different world and it's a lot to learn. So how can we help you and others on this journey?
I don't have a great deal to add because I'm not there yet, but I work with Vince on quite a lot of stuff, and he never shuts up about cubes. In fact, he's every day trying to convince me to use cubes, and I think ultimately I will. But I'm not in the trenches with it yet. I've had a little bit of a taste on some other projects recently. It's not gone well. I've been lucky to have Vince alongside me on some of that, though, because without him, I would not have been able to work on some of these other projects, because what I'm noticing is that thing Vince says, and Vince, you should be saying this, not me, but every decision when you decide to go down the route of using, infrastructure as code and GitOps, every decision you make is a philosophical decision, and everybody has a different opinion, and there are multiple solutions for every single service that you might want to run. Obviously, there's the 𝗨𝗀𝗪𝗀 paradigm that you have to learn. It's probably the best place to start. But then once you start making decisions, then you have to, there's a lot of different decisions to make, including the one that I've been learning a bit about from Vince lately is, going as far as what we might typically do, Matthew, in the bare metal world is Ansible and Redfish and all, Pixie booting and all that sort of stuff. Like that's all up for grabs in the cube space as well, right?
That's right.
And that's been a real eye-opener for me, is that if I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do it by starting with a machine that has no opinions, and I'm going to build my opinions on top of it programmatically, using the thing that Vince was showing me the other day is Talos, and how he's building stuff with Talos or trying things out. And it was a real eye-opener for me that you can do all of that as well. Drop a new machine into a data center with nothing on it, apart from maybe it's spec'd exactly how you want it spec'd, and use Talos and GitOps and all this sort of stuff it's a new paradigm for me, using all of that to take a server from nothing to, part of your cluster very quickly. So I'm at the beginning of the end of my containerization journey in Docker. The stack I've built recently for Graph is like a horizontally scalable set of Docker compose layers. And going through that process has made it pretty obvious that the next step is cubes for many, many reasons. There's so many reasons why, but I've had to go through it to learn that. So that's all I've got at the moment. I think further down the line, I'll have loads of questions. And I'm really interested to listen to hear your journey, Matthew, because you're coming from somewhere, similar place to where I'm coming from. So it's great that we're not on this journey alone. There's a lot of people here who are all looking to go through this process.
Absolutely. And that's what I want to do. I want it to be a journey where we don't have to go through it alone, and we leave it open for those discussions for, indexers who want to do it this way, that way, or the other way. It's totally fine. So I think that's one of the things, as you mentioned, that has, been an eye-opener is there's now, 200 ways to do a single thing. I've actually heard a quote, it feels true, is that the main job of Kubernetes is to employ people to run Kubernetes. So if you get it into the depths of the details from, managing hardware all the way up the stack, it can be a lot to learn all that stuff. So I don't know. I will see what that Anna has to say. Obviously, if you're starting from a cloud provider, then a whole bunch of those decisions are already done for you. But if you're starting from bare metal, then there's a lot of stuff to take into account. So happy to share. So we started on LXC containers with a thing called Matthew's automation. So we need to get away from that.
I've heard a few things about Matthew's automation. Some magic black boxes.
For better or for worse, it does a bunch of things easily for you if you know the magic. Yeah, Matthew's automation is magical. Exactly. Once you have all of Kubernetes set up, it's less work. Sure. But it takes a while to get there.
And is that actually what Cubes people want? Because I do sometimes wonder if they just like being in this state of constant flux.
I think it's like a train set, right? So if you build a whole, like if you have a model train, you set it up, you put, buildings and people, and you build a backdrop and everything. And then by the time you're done with it, you go, yeah, now it's boring, right? So you need to keep fiddling with it to make it interesting. I don't know. That's kind of what it feels like to me. But at least you have something that works. Have you ever met someone that likes Linux distributions? It's that. Well, do we want to get into, well, VI versus Emacs, Ubuntu versus Red Hat versus Arch versus whatever, it's all those debates. Yeah, you see, I'm on Debian. I do everything on Debian, and anyway, I think that the key thing here is to have some good open discussions about the different opinions people have on how they manage their different infrastructure, and people have different levels of automation that they want to achieve. So if you're, I don't know what you call it, let's say smaller indexer who wants to focus on a smaller set of chains, smaller set of services, then maybe, going to the nth degree of full automation on deploying things with Pixie Boot is not where you need to be. Other indexers may be on the scale of, well, we're going to deploy every single blockchain on the planet, and we can't possibly do that unless we automate the stack from the hardware acquisition all the way up. And in which case, your level of activity you need to spend on that is quite different. So I think there's a large scope for differentiation between all the different indexers.
There's a definite core, though, of functions within the graph stack which just lend themselves to like dynamic resource allocation and infrastructure as code. So I know Launchpad has a big feature set around managing nodes, for example, right? So all your different blockchain clients, like really whatever scale you're working at, whether you've got 2 nodes or 200 nodes, I guess it's the same thing with cubes, right? It's the code that underlies all of that is pretty much the same. So, and the other one would be like the
once you
obvious one
can
is
deploy
index nodes.
2 of them, then you can deploy 100 of them. It doesn't make,
as
long as you have the hardware, right? So
yeah, so it doesn't matter what scale you're at for some of these core functions. They're relevant whether you're big indexer or a small indexer, I think.
Yeah. But in terms of the automation with Vince really likes Talos here. So I think if we give him a platform, you'll talk about it for 3 hours. But, but maybe some people are much more comfortable with their normal Linux distribution and just want to deploy Kubernetes on top of that, which is certainly what we've done up till now. I don't see that as the long-term solution, but it got us started, and it's a perfectly working solution for running the graph stack and arrows, this kind of stuff. Alexis, I'm halfway using Fedora CoreOS in prod. All right. That's, I think the GraphOps team is using Fedora CoreOS as well. Anyway, so I was trying to collect some questions of, where do we want to start to try to put some PowerPoint presentation together, or is more ad hoc type conversation what people want to do. I'd like to hear from more folks who maybe don't speak up all regularly. Well, so who are all the little indexers here? How can we help you? So if you're on Payne's Docker Compose stack, which is awesome to get started with, and you want to take it to the next level, what questions do you have? I think that's my question. Right, and that'll help us then define, what kind of resources, information that we can help bring. So Jim, the fact that you haven't really looked into anything yet, I think is fine, because maybe we can bring some info about things that we've looked at that maybe you can consider or not consider, depending on our experience. So that's a good starting point. Is just exploring the landscape of what's available. So I think I take that as a good question.
Yeah, I would say a focus to start off on what are the common benefits over, just using Docker, Docker Swarm, or bare metal. What are the core benefits you get. One of the big ones that I've discovered in basically building my own, I wouldn't say poor man's, but maybe just like a really rubbish version of cubes, is that, you know, you can spend as much time as you like in Docker writing or using Docker Swarm to deploy things, but if you don't have like common ingress and egress, you have to build proxies into every layer that you've built, and you have to configure them. And if you don't do that in a dynamic way, you're going to have a nightmare managing that as you try and expand. And even doing it dynamically is still a nightmare to manage as a bunch of Docker Compose files in a VS Code with tons of parameters and an environment, you know, an environment file as long as your arm. Whereas, you know, when you move into the cubes world, those things are sort of taken care of for you. And then the other part, the other core part, which is a big change for me, is really taking the leap to properly start acting like a developer. So, you know, all of my code is in repos. I run a private GitLab. If you don't have that kind of stuff in place before you start, then it's a non-starter. Would you agree, Matthew? I mean, where are you with that? I mean, do you guys use Git, private Git in the Pinax world? I imagine you've been doing that forever.
Yeah, so good question. So you can run Kubernetes. I'm not suggesting this, but you can run Kubernetes by doing kubectl whatever and do everything as a manual deployment, which is, I think, a good way to get started. It helps you learn the environment. But if you're trying to scale to a big level, now you can't keep track of what you did. So you do need, a Git environment to manage things. And Matthew's magical environment that doesn't use Kubernetes has been a Git environment from day one. So everything is managed in Git. Everything is deployed as infrastructure as code, even though we're not using Docker and Kubernetes. So it probably sounds a bit weird. Everything is automated using LXC containers. But so if you're going to go towards the infrastructure as code, then you need a source control system and you need to act as a developer, not a SSH into machine deploy stuff manually kind of thing. So that is a fundamental shift to think about from an automation perspective. Now, if you've already been using Ansible and whatever, then maybe you're already in that headspace. But certainly if you're used to, directly interacting with machines, then it's different. I can't just change this config file. I need to update source control. All right. What other ideas we got? I see your question, Penguin. Maybe we'll come back to that one. It's not about Kubernetes per se.
Yeah, I'm just testing my audio just to make sure I can participate later. Can you guys hear me this time?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, from the
Yes,
phone.
loud and
Okay,
clear.
cool. Thanks. Sorry for the interruption.
Amazing.
No
No,
problem.
this is great. Thank you so much.
All right. Any other questions, comments on Kubernetes, or maybe we'll pass it back to Alexei?
Yeah, just to reiterate, any sort of thoughts on sessions would be ideal, like specific areas that you think you could do, specific areas that you think could be worthy of an entire presentation or an entire session dedicated to 𝗨𝗀𝗃. Or maybe, one thing I liked about the Postgres sessions was some of the suggestions from Jim about live live activities to do, which we're yet to do with the Postgres stuff, but we have plans to in the future. Something like that, where it's like maybe there's something that you want to do in the Kubernetes realm. I hear that many, like Jim mentioned earlier, that he's not quite there yet, but he's kind of going through it with Vince. But if there's something that you have an idea of wanting to do in the Kubernetes realm, but you haven't quite done yourself, and maybe we could do that live together, and you could benefit from having Matthew, who is quite versed, and the GraphOps team, Carlos and Anna, who are quite versed in Kubernetes. Kind of, we could all work together on that, and you could learn a bunch from that. So like stuff like that would be super ideal to collate so that we can plan future episodes.
All right, and Colin's sharing what Streaming Fast has done, which is excellent as well. So, which is awesome. So great sharing here. I would also like to hear from if anybody is like, this Kubernetes thing is not for me. I'd love to hear why, or what your struggles is. What if it's you just want to stay small and just do your focus thing, that's totally fine. But if you got other questions about it, happy to hear those as well. Certainly, it's a big jump. And Abel, just so you know, I'm not a Kubernetes person.
Okay. Thanks for letting me know.
So we're talking about Kubernetes here, but my actual first-hand experience with Kubernetes is very small. But I do listen to all the things that my team is talking about, and I learn a lot from them. So I can be knowledgeable enough to be dangerous, shall we say.
Amazing. Well, we're all learning together, so that's great to hear. That's great to hear.
All right, well, let's move on, I guess, and let's hear from Alexei.
Yes, let's do that. Okay, well, thank you so much, Matthew. And as always, folks, please do shout if you have any thoughts, or questions, or things you would like to do in the realm of Kubernetes, or for any other part of the stack for that matter. Because we're always trying to collate information so that we can make sure these sessions are maximally useful. Alrighty, well, without further ado, luckily, Alexei's audio is working, so we're going to hand the mic back to him, and he's going to tell us a bit about some TAP-related news. So, without further ado, Alexei, feel free to take it away.
Hey, so yeah, I just actually realized that because I joined on my phone, I cannot share my screen on my computer. But okay, hey, TAP updates.
I can, if you share me a link, share a link with me, I can share my screen if that's
I
useful.
mean, there isn't really something to show in particular, so I guess I'm just gonna share a bunch of links. That's
Okay.
gonna work. But yeah, TAP, some of you may not remember because that's been in the works for a while, and there's lots of details to remember. So anyway, first I'm gonna share the resources again. So there's an explanation of what TAP is in detail. So TLDR, it's a new micropayment system for indexers to get paid for their services. I did an IOH presentation also that explained what the new components are and how they interact with each other and why TAP is safer than what we got today and all that kind of stuff. So you can understand the data flow with that. But anyway, we are really in the final stages of testing of those new bits of the indexer stack. So it's mostly a completely fresh new indexer service that's now written in Rust and doesn't leak memory, by the way, also. So that's nice. And it's faster. And hopefully it's going to be easier to maintain also than the TypeScript version. So that's the main highlight. And then there's a second component that's very important also, which is called the TAP agent, which is the component that's basically keeping track of payments and making sure that everything is correct and takes care of blocking a customer if the customer is not paying correctly somehow. And so like before, and the new indexer service is scalable horizontally. That new tap agent is more like indexer agent. You want to have exactly one running at all times. It's actually even more important than indexer agent for it to be running at all times, but you need only one. And yeah, so to run that stuff, so first of all, I'm going to share with you, well, of course, you also have to update, sorry, last bit, you have to update indexer agent to the latest version to run that stuff. But anyway, we are running on testnet, so the purpose of my appearance here is it's a call to action for you to start playing with that stuff on testnet, so that you're ready when that stuff happens on mainnet. Because I mean, eventually we're going to also deprecate the old scalar payment system, right? Anyway, do you have any questions? I hope it wasn't too rambly here, and I don't have supporting images for what I'm saying. But yeah, do you have any questions about that stuff for now? Yes, the new indexer service is multi-threaded, because in Rust it seems that it's very easy, so we almost accidentally made it multi-threaded. We didn't even look into doing that kind of quote unquote like premature optimization, but then it turned out, oh, actually it's multi-threaded. Okay, cool. So that was nice. Came almost for free. So that's cool. Anyway, the new repos are there for the new indexer service, as well as tap agent, and you also have pre-built containers in there. So there's that. And also you got the new values on the indexer repo here for 𝗨𝗪𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, as well as a little bit of an explanation as to what you're supposed to run. Not looking forward to upgrade the agent. Oh, I'm running the latest agent, and I'm not seeing any issues on my end, but I don't know, maybe there's been some issues I haven't been hearing about. Oh yeah, and the Launchpad stuff. Actually, I had that link too, but yes. And yeah, there's a new Canary Helm chart for the new indexer stack from GraphOps, and I'm already running it. It's awesome. But yeah, if you guys can start doing your homework and looking into those things, because we're gonna next week we should be ready to announce that official mainnet deployment of that new payment system. Yes, so tap agent is not backwards compatible, because you don't need it for Scalar anyway. And the new indexer service is not backwards compatible either. What is backwards compatible is the gateway. So the gateway has been updated to support the new payment system, and so there's going to be a transition period where you can run the old stuff and then upgrade to the new stuff, and both are going to work at this, no problem. Indexer agent is backwards compatible though, so the latest version of indexer agent is capable of redeeming tap receipt aggregates on chain, and you're not going to be expected to run legacy tap agent and indexer service in parallel. You'll have to just jump to the new stack. It's one or the other, because the way it works is that the gateway is it's asking the indexer service which version it is. If it's version 0. something, that means it's the Scalar, it's the old TypeScript version. If it's version 1 or more, that means it's a new Rust version, and it's going to send the new payment receipts for that one. Yeah.
So is the new, so it's the gateway that needs to be backwards compatible here, right? So let's say I have allocations running, I leave them running, I swap from the old service stack to the new service stack. the gateway will still be able to allow me to settle the existing vouchers that I have, like pre the Rust service.
Yes, because Indexer agent supports both. So Indexer agent is basically looking at your Indexer metadata database and looking for basically the code path for redeeming the scalar payments is still there, and it's also looking for the new tap aggregates, and if they're there, it's going to also redeem them.
Got it.
So Indexer agent, yeah, as long as you've got the latest version of Indexer agent, you're fine. And so it's really that new Indexer service and a tap agent. If you move to that, then you only run that. But yeah, the gateway knows basically what you're running.
I'm trying to remember what the latest version of the Indexer agent is, and if it's an RC or a release. Is it .14?
Yeah, that version is in the
.4.
in the testnet configuration. So yeah, 0.21.4.
Thank you, Anna.
Yes, indeed. It's the old Indexer agent that we updated with new code path to redeem the tap payments.
I think I'm running the
It'd be
RC
nice.
already on testnet. I just upgraded.
Yep. Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, and also, feedback, whatever, you're probably gonna find bugs that we couldn't find through the extensive testing we've been doing, because whenever it's a new setup, there's always a new thing, a new corner case. So anyway, write issues to the Indexer RS repo. If there's some functionality you would like, or some bugs you found, etc. Of course. Yeah. And for those who are unclear about what the hell I'm talking about, watch both video links that I posted at the beginning, right? Because otherwise it's probably sounds all a little bit theoretical what I'm saying now.
One other question, Alexi. So this is sort of setting the groundwork for a lot of different stuff. Is there anything else coming, like service-wise, in the short term, or is that all way down the line?
I think it's way down the line that some things have been, I think, deprioritized in terms of building a Indexer service framework for new services.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the status on that stuff is, but having that Rust code is probably going to make it easier. It's a new rewrite, so of course it's cleaner. There is no, there hasn't been through the times like code added and nest being added yet, of course. So because it's fresh, it's probably going to make it easier for new services to be built onto that. But yeah, right now I'm not clear on roadmaps and stuff, so you probably would want to ask some of the Edge and Node devs on that.
Sure, no problem. Just want to get a feel if something's coming imminently, or this is just laying the groundwork. Sorry.
Well, what is very significant, though, I think, even though it's not really new services, is that TAP is also enabling trustless gateways, and so there's going to be new gateway providers that are not Edge and Node, that could not even be within the Graphs umbrella at all. Yeah, so that's exciting.
We've got a question from Derek asking, has there been any exploration into non-subgraph query tap-based payments?
There's been exploration, but I don't know how that's going. Because with I think that's been announced on the monthly updates on the forums, right? But we've deprioritized at Semiotic with the AI service. So that's why now I'm not quite clear in terms of in Semiotic. I mean, I have a rough idea of what we're doing in Semiotic, but I don't know in terms of what Edge and Node is doing. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, more gateways for sure, so that's good. And reducing trust into Edge and Node, because right now there's a lot of trust being put on the Edge and Node gateway from the perspective of the indexers, and that's going way down with TAP. Which is why we're also allowing now, right? We're going to allow for more gateways, because the risk is going to be very minimal for indexers to do business with unknown entities.
One of the big hard problems. It's a big deal, Alexei, for sure. This is a big deal. One of the biggest hard problems that we've been, it's been on that list for forever.
Yep. Yeah, we're definitely fixing a big ticket item. Cool. So no more questions.
One last question from me.
Yeah.
So if I'm setting up on testnet, are there queries streaming on specific subgraphs or anything I should do in order to make sure I'm sort of participating in the testing of the new system?
Oh, that's actually a good question. I think so. I haven't been running on testnet for a while. Anna's been running on testnet recently, right? Because I think when we were doing testing, the Theo was generating queries against the Moonbirds subgraph.
Okay.
So the Ethereum mainnet subgraph. Yeah.
Yes. So first of all, sorry, I do have a baby in my arms who wants to run away. But I have been running on testnet, been querying that Moonbirds subgraph, but also other subgraphs from that are directly on the. I think one of them is demo something. I can grab a link as well. But all subgraphs should work. And in terms of configuration, I haven't pushed this out. It's on a PR, but I can share some of the additional stuff. I'll share the config map we're running with for TAP and the additional environment variables. Just give me a couple of minutes. I'll put them in the chat now.
Thanks.
Thanks, baby.
Any thoughts on the Kubernetes stuff? I'm curious if folks aren't using Kubernetes, if they're having any reasons for that, any challenges, yeah, I'm curious. Because yeah, it'd be great to collate some things and have some direction before we wrap today's conversation on that. Because then we can start planning some stuff. So if anyone has anything, that'd be amazing. In the meantime, I will share POAP code, so folks can get the POAPs. Oh, Philly beat me to it. Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Philly. There it is, production ready. Mark Andre says the biggest challenge with K8s is that you can't stop talking about it. That's fair. That's hilarious.
All life consuming. We can see that in Vince.
That's hilarious. The CrossFit of DevOps. I like that. That seems like an apt comparison. Yeah. Is there anyone, I mean, we are coming at this from the perspective of like asking uh about challenges and potential things that we could discuss. But is there anyone in the group right now, because we obviously have a lot of established indexers, who is particularly proficient in Kubernetes and is willing to do like a workshop or a presentation on their setup and maybe share some stuff about how they do things, just so that we can share information with each other and help each other level up? Is that something that people would be open to?
I would love to know more about other people's setups. So I'm happy to share ours. Well, I won't share it. Somebody on the team will share it. But yeah, maybe Vince can, since he's all in Kubernetes, maybe he can share what he's doing for his indexer as well.
Yeah, if you could share, yeah, that would be amazing, Vince. And you could, while you're at
yeah.
it, tell us about your air fryer and how it's changed your life.
Well, I guess I'll start with the good news of the air fryer. It's delicious and makes things like new. So if you like French fries and pizza, it's fantastic. Yeah, but mainly my Kubernetes journey is, well, obviously I'm part of the Pinax team, so I've been working on that for quite a while and learning a lot with the team, which has been awesome. But for my own indexer, I'm starting at scratch, which is what slate am I working on, aka the religious questions of what distribution are you going to use? I decided on Talos for various reasons, especially in the bare metal world. You just, if anybody's ever loaded up an ISO, you do that, it goes into maintenance mode, and it just waits for you to tell it what to do, which made making GitHub actions to it. It has a REST API. It's secured by default. It enforces security, and you can really set machine configs at the base level before you do anything and run a GitHub action off that and spin up a cluster in 2 minutes with as little or as many machines as you want. And adding machines is incredibly easy. Talos also comes with Talos CTL, which, if you're familiar with Kubernetes and kubectl, you can do a lot of things with that as well at a higher level, like doing stuff to disks, applying new machine configs, all sorts of cool stuff you can do with it. So that's kind of where I'm at on my journey. Is I just got all that working, so now I can spin up a cluster in Talos within 45 seconds, sending a single command. I just point to IP addresses and hit go, and I have a cluster. And it has Cilium networking and everything like that.
So I didn't mean to share when I said share. I didn't mean today. I meant create a few slides for a future session. But cool.
That's where I'm at. But yeah, I can do slides or a demo, either one.
Yeah, and same. I'd love to see Alexi's setup. ZFS, you say? Yes.
So that's a good one. Sorry, Matthew. Just while we're talking, there's something going on about disk space, disk stuff there. I'd be really interested to know how people are, like, the experience of learning how to do, disk services at scale with queues, because that seems like a really rocky, a difficult one.
I think that is an excellent topic because I agree with you. There's probably 100 ways to do it. In our Pinax journey, we started with let's deploy services that don't need local disks or don't need much disks to avoid that problem.
Stateless for the win.
Exactly. So we started with Firehose and other such services that don't need a local disk. Blockchain nodes are kind of challenging, shall we say, when we're trying to run BSC or something. So I think GraphOps team has a lot of good experience here that hopefully they can share as well. All right. We're about out of time. I know there was a question earlier about running the indexer stack on Railway. I'm not sure if anybody has tried to run this on Railway. Seems challenging to me, but yeah, somebody asked that question in the chat earlier. So I think you got.
Could you elaborate on that? I'm just going to try to record that in terms of Railway.
Well, it was a question in the chat there. I recently deployed GraphNode for a custom chain to Railway. I confirm it's indexing launch, but if I launch subgraph, it says error message.
Okay. Can you mind linking to that message so I can have a look? Sweet. Thank you very much. Oh, okay, I see. I see. That was
we skipped over it earlier, so I just wanted to come back to it. But I would just kind of come back to it to say, don't know. I don't know if anybody else has experience with Graph Stack and Railway. I'm guessing probably not. But
I'm just wondering, like, I am not the guy to know whether it's the right place, but this is sort of like something that a developer running a development environment would come up against. Correct me if I'm wrong. And maybe, I know there's a builder's office hours. Is that the sort of thing that's sometimes talked about there?
Don't know about that.
Derek, I know you're often on that.
Mm-hmm.
We get questions like that a lot, in the indexer channels. And because we work primarily on the infrastructure side and not on the sort of like hosting our own subgraph side, it's often we can't help because we don't really have we don't come across those same challenges or problems. We have this thing called the indexer agent that does everything for us.
Seems like Derek is attempting to respond to that. So I've just tagged you, Penguin, to elaborate on the question just asked. Amazing. Thanks for mentioning that, Anna. I will reach out in terms of Kubernetes stuff as well. Yeah, maybe we'll make a group Slack or something so we can coordinate on that.
And I think there was a plan to go through all of the changes of how the Launchpad stack has been updated for how TAP is working for next week. But we might need to maybe shift on that depending on the announcement. But yeah, we can help with the Kubernetes stuff and what we've tried and what we haven't and where we are as well.
Amazing. Yeah, the more knowledge sharing, the better. So, that would be amazing. Awesome. Awesome. Let's see.
To me, the biggest thing on Kubernetes is to understand why people pick different options. We tried this, we didn't try that. We tried this, we need to have these requirements, whatever. So, you know, everybody's got a different stack when we look at the conversation there. But, you know, why did you pick the stack that you picked? And it's fine if the answer is, I don't know, we just tried something and it seemed to work. Fine answer. So I look forward to getting into more of these discussions in upcoming weeks. Yeah, also we tried X and it went really bad. Absolutely. What went well, what didn't go well.
Amazing. The more sharing, the better. Okay, it seems like Penguin and Derek are going back and forth. So yeah, hopefully the issue is resolved there. We are slightly over, so I will take this opportunity to say thank you to each and every one of you for coming along today and contributing to today's conversation. As you're well aware, we've got a lot of things planned, so yeah, keep coming to IOH at the same time, Tuesday, and we'll keep you in the loop on everything that happens. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you again same time next week. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.